Hi, on today's video,
We're going to talk to you about the difference between a resistive touch panel as well as a capacitive touch panel. So stay tuned. So, did you know that there's two types of touchscreens?
yes,
Do you know what they are?
yes,
I'm not going to ask you to say it because they're tongue twisters for me. That's right. There's two different types of touchscreens, and of course the most sought after one is the capacitive touchscreen. Now what we've got set up here, and by the way, this was a viewer question, so we're doing it a bit long form. It's not going to be in our typical Q&A because we needed more time. So what we have set up here is the Pioneer 4200 as well as the 8200. Now we're not going to compare features. What we're going to compare is the fact that this has what they call the Clear Resistive touchscreen, clear being trying to make it shiny, as well as a capacitive touchscreen that comes on this guy here. So they use two totally different types of technologies in order to basically achieve the same thing, which is the ability to touch on the screen and it do something.
okay.
Now the older of the two is actually the capacitive touchscreen, not the resistive style touchscreen that has become more popular. Now, how do the two work? Typically, a resistive touchscreen, to sum it down, is two panels with a gap between them. And what you do is, as you press the gaps touch, which complete the circuit and allow whatever is visually behind it to act like it is doing something. It's all smoke and mirrors, just saying. Now, on the capacitive touchscreen, it's typically made out of something like glass. And that glass reacts to the electronic charge in your finger, okay, and does what it's supposed to do. Now, the two react totally different, but fortunately, because processor speeds have gotten a lot better, they are very similar in functionality, but yet still very different. So what we thought we'd do is we'd show you some of the differences between the two. In order to do this, we're going to do it in Apple CarPlay. It's the same in Android Auto, it's just these are really good examples. And after all, you guys like really good examples, so let's show them. So let's go ahead and go into music. As you can see from here, I can flick like this, and it'll just bang through my music. The touchscreen, the resistive style touchscreen, isn't as responsive and tends to do funky things. It's really not set up for this. As if you'll notice here, they've gone ahead and added in these buttons to make it a little bit easier. Let's go to Maps. Now in Maps, you can just grab on and move it around. And you can't do that with the resistive screen. If you notice, Apple has supplied this, which allows you to go in and move the map around. Now the main reason for this is because capacitive touch will support multi-gesture, meaning it can read more than one electronic impulse on the screen, whereas if you think of the regular resistive type screen, if you think of it as there's little buttons anywhere these two areas touch, obviously you can't have as many touch points because you have to have a touch point, a touch point, a touch point, a touch point, whereas anywhere on this glass screen can be a touch point. So it allows you to do a little bit different actions.
So in the end of the day, this is a better screen.
Not necessarily, and I will show you why now. Okay, so for those of you that live up north are familiar with these things. These are gloves. Here in Florida we don't use them that much. But if I hit here, it'll go ahead and do what we want it to do. Now if I come over to here, as you can see, it's not as responsive. Well, it's not responsive at all. And that's because these gloves are blocking the electrical impulse from my fingers onto the screen. Now, that means I have to go out and buy this style glove. This glove has woven into the fabric metal that'll allow it to act like your finger. So go ahead and show them. So one of the advantages of the capacitive style screen is definitely the glove test. If you have a thin enough glove, you're okay on this. Like if we were to pull this super tight on our skin and get our finger just right, we could get it to work. But for most of the time, it wouldn't function. These are thin running gloves though. These don't do anything in the cold. I can testify to that. I have been in the cold and they were totally useless. But for here, it's great. These are a nice wool glove, and they do work.
To buy ones.
So, you do have to have a little bit different wardrobe up north if you want to use the cool shiny screen. Now, another advantage of the capacitive touch as opposed to the resistive style screen is the sharpness, and this is what attracts most people. Because of the multi-layers that are involved in making this, it adds a bit of reduction in the contrast and the sharpness. It's not that it's not there, it can't penetrate through all these layers of plastic or glass in front of it. Whereas because this is working off of an electronic charge, there's fewer pieces of product in front of it, so it looks brighter, more vivid, and definitely a lot sharper.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Alright, so that about wraps up the differences between those two screens, which I'm not going to say anymore because it's definitely a tongue twister.
Which one is this one?
Yeah, that is the capacitive touch.
Okay.
Yeah, it's resistive. Alright, yeah, Alright, thanks. Wrap it up, man.
Alright, so thank you for watching. You guys can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram.
If you guys have any questions or comments or anything like that, please feel free to leave them down below. Subscribe. That's all I got to say about that. And as usual, you guys have a great night, and we will see you later next time. Bye.